Hey everybody, this is Cynthia, Grant, and Darrell from Raika Technologies. This is our very, very first attempt at podcasting, video, anything like that. We don't know what if this will survive.
And we don't know what we're doing.
And we don't know what we're doing, but that's what makes it really exciting. So as an intro for everybody, we are a tech incubator. We help people who have ideas in the technology space, IoT, web apps, mobile apps, that kind of stuff. Cloud. Yes, it's very important that you point up when you say that. We help these people who maybe don't know how to get to market, or who have never had a startup business, or who maybe have had a business but never in a tech space. We help them mature their ideas and get to a point where either they can get funding or they're out in the marketplace actively selling, sometimes both. I am Cynthia. We're all three coders, but we have like sort of different skill sets outside of actually writing code. Mine happens to be particularly around the business side of things, and I generally tend to be the face of things because I'm not bald. Okay, that makes me distinct. This is Grant. Say hi, Grant.
Hi.
Grant is our resident architect, principal engineer, master of just about anything. If there's a piece of legacy code that's broken or that doesn't function super efficiently, he will sniff it out and he will fix it and make it way better than it ever was to start with. Yeah. And over there on his iPad, that's Darrell. Say hi.
Hi.
And Darrell is our resident DevOps and sort of like connected into everything network guy, networking, and also he has a good network. And also, like I said, a coder. So we are going to choose a new topic every week, and start to get our name out there so that you guys know who we are. And this is our first week. And so in keeping with the traditions of whatever in podcasting, we took a look at what is trending in technology in general, and also in specifically software development, since we figure it's good to speak to things that we know something about and we can be experts in. One of the trending topics for 2019 kind of started at the end of last year, but it's definitely gaining some traction this year, has to do with this concept of low-code development. So what is this? This is this idea that using a WYSIWYG or a graphical interface of some kind, somebody who doesn't know anything about technology could create a program or write an app that does something that they're really interested in building an app to do or a piece of software to do. I think there's probably pros and cons on both sides, but this is what we want to talk about today, being that we are coders, and I don't think we want to be replaced by robots any more than people working at McDonald's do. So
I don't think we're in risk of that. From what I've read about low code, I think our jobs are secure for a little while longer.
Good. Why don't you tell us what you've read and what your sort of first thoughts are, and then I'll kind of jump in.
It seems to me that they're probably pretty good for simple CRUD applications. Nothing complex. I think we've seen these things come and go for decades.
Okay. So you don't think this is something new?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Nope. I remember you, Grant, mentioning something.
Well, I was just thinking based on what Cynthia was saying. I remember taking Oracle classes in the 80s, and one of the things there was Oracle Forms. And you went on and you said, here's where I want this field, and here's where I want this field, and here's what I want that to look like. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to hook that all up for you. Same thing, really.
Was that sort of like what Web Forms was in the 90s? Similar?
Was Web Forms a product?
No, it was this...
kind of a concept.
Yeah, it was a concept more than anything else, but
yeah, it's, really the idea of, and, now that we got talking about it, I mean, the recent experience with Node-RED on IBM's cloud, that's obviously the same thing. And the unfortunate thing is it's easier to develop those tools now than it ever was. And so more people are going to do it. And unfortunately, in my opinion, as more... maybe that also grows a best of breed, but it grows a lot of not so great. It proliferates not so great.
Yeah.
And people glom onto things sometimes thinking it is really great, and then it goes out further and further. But
It seems to me that this might be the kind of thing that could be really useful for something that's similar to one of the products that we offer, which is like this rapid prototyping concept, right? Which is I have this core idea and I want to quickly put it together and kind of play with it, maybe get it in front of some people and see if my idea makes any sense in reality and see if people like get excited about it.
Are people actually going to use this, or is this what they actually need?
Yeah.
That seems to me a lot of the use is in enterprise, just putting something quickly together to solve a problem for your own internal staff.
Well, maybe that's the key distinction there is specific purpose.
Okay.
When it's a WYSIWYG generator wizard tool that is for a specific kind of output for a specific thing, excuse me, or in the same vein, maybe my problem with some of those things has been you can do everything with this, and really, can you?
Yeah. That was my impression in reading about it. Is it abstracts the fact that writing code is still very nuanced right now, and this masks all of that nuance, and it makes it seem like you don't have to understand that nuance. You can build anything you want with this low-code platform, and yay, you've got a product. And I think pretty quickly after using something like this, you're going to realize where it starts breaking down.
Yeah, and I think I read a couple things where, and maybe these were just really new programmers, or maybe just programmers that didn't understand really what this is. But I think the takeaway as a programmer is to understand there's still code running on a platform, and somebody has to manage the platform. Right. So this isn't replacing programming jobs anytime soon or anything like that. We're not worried about that. Mm-hmm. Probably more what it does. I just totally lost my train of thought.
Well, because I faced that in my career at different times, because I was always automating things, making things automatic, creating macros, libraries, things like that. And I got pushback sometimes, you're going to, and he said, no, you what we'll end up doing is if you can do all of that stuff automatically, it doesn't mean that there's less of a need for you. It means you will have more stuff come in that you will have to do. You'll have to actually you will get the chance, really, the opportunity to go up a level in the type of programming that you're doing, because you've got these things down here handling a lot of the low level. And that's, that's the dream, that's the holy grail behind all of this, whether it's a framework or some kind of a UI type code generator type thing. I mean, that's the holy grail. And any system that can cover everything and do it well, I think, is going to be too big for you to use, to wrap your brain around.
Right.
Because you have to wrap your brain around the problem, and then you've got to wrap your brain around a layer around your problem.
Right.
And so when they try to solve everything, as opposed to what I was saying earlier about it being a specific, it's either not going to do the job, or it's only going to do a certain percentage of the job.
Yeah, and you pointed something interesting, which is a program like this can only give you the ability to low code program something that the original creator created a module for, right? So if you're trying to do, I don't even know what, if you're trying to do something and you're looking through there and you're like, well, it doesn't give me a way to do that, most of these programs, it's like, well, then you can't do that. There's no option.
In Node-RED, you could, you could create your own node for Node-RED using Node.js and fill in on all the holes, but not everybody wants to do that, has the expertise to do that. And you could argue that, well, I'm already trying to program a solution to my problem.
Right.
Now I've got to learn how to program your framework.
Right.
To solve. And if I just had open vanilla, then I could just do this.
Yeah.
Isn't it compounded by the fact that, like you said, if the original low-code platform developer didn't think of what you need, you're at the mercy of that. But it's even worse, because if the module developer of this module that you're using didn't think of what you need, now you're at the mercy of both. Right.
And if the platform that you're using to create all this stuff in this low-code world doesn't allow you to extend it, to put in your own code if you know how to do that, or to add your own modules, like you were just saying, then you're even more so at the mercy. And so maybe this, like we said, goes back to, it's really great if I'm in a corporate environment and I want to, and I'm trying to test an audience or test something, and I want something quick, and my marketing team can go put it together with this, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, compile that to my phone as a native app or whatever, and now I can go take it to you and say, hey, what do you think about that? What's the interaction like? Yeah. But I highly suspect the user experience is going to be very, very limited, and I think that's something that can be important when looking at whether or not an idea really does work. How you interact with the idea matters just as much as the idea itself. And so I wonder if there's always give and take. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? You don't just get an easily developed app real quick, real simple by a marketing person and not have to have, like app expertise or whatever, or software expertise. But what do you give up to get that, right? And so I wonder who are the markets, like the target audiences for this kind of thing? Do you think is it other coders who are trying to get to a particular place quickly and then go further, or is this really like a UX person, a design person, a marketing person,
somebody doesn't want to develop?
Right. Doesn't know code, doesn't want to build code.
And I've been in situations like that where I've had people who are in marketing or whatever, they're not developers, and they come to me and, can you just cobble this information together in a report and give that to me? And I can see how this might be useful for them. They don't have to come to me. I'm an expensive resource at a company. They could just use this platform. And ideally they would be, like you said, just be able to drag and drop these particular pieces of information and it would generate a report. I don't know.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to find out if there's really ever been one of these systems that has allowed non-technical people. Because I was thinking about, a guy that I worked around that was a business intelligence consultant, made really, really good rates with that. He didn't really want to be a programmer, but he goes, my point is that they still had to hire an expert in something that was supposed to be a whatever you call it, like business automated intelligence, where it should have been drag and drop for managers and C-level executives to be able to do what they want to do, and they can. And I've always seen that there's always a specific person or team that administers this thing that was, to me, is supposed to cut the technical need out. So
maybe in some cases,
what are you really cutting out?
Yeah, you're using one of these platforms intending to enable non-technical people, but do you cause more need for technical support to manage all of that and help them? Yeah, exactly.
Needs to be supported for just that one. And I'm just wondering. I can't think, from my experience, I can't think of anything where that whatever that tool didn't still have a person or a couple people that were the go-between. I take the requirements from the CEO to the business intelligence.
I'm a people person. Have you guys ever used Crystal Reports?
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Would that be considered a low-code platform, you think? It's very, very weak. Because all it is, it's just good at what it does. It's for a specific thing, and they really got into that, and they can, how are all the ways we can combine keys and columns and sorting and summing and all that stuff and grouping, and you can define all that as it's a large set, but it's a finite set. Yeah. And you can break that down. But then when you start saying, I'm going to give you a platform that'll let you write your API server and everything that goes behind that, right, by dragging some boxes around and connecting them and configuring them, it's like at the best case, there's going to be extreme inefficiencies, in my opinion. Yeah. Because it just can't look at the whole, or it doesn't. Yeah, we're back to those nuances where it's not able to understand those nuances.
Can't look at the whole.
Can't look at the whole.
Cloud.
Whole W hole. Hole. You can't do like a coup whip on a coup whip hole.
I'll tell you what.
All right, so last thoughts. Darrell, last thoughts about this. What do you think?
One big issue I would question about these is how much consideration is given towards security as well.
Okay.
That's probably a really good point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But anybody that's looking at a low code environment needs to factor that in.
Okay.
Especially in this day and age.
So I'll ask 2 questions parting. 1, is this replacing our jobs? 2, your view on where could this be useful and to what point could it be useful? I'd say 10 seconds or less.
I don't think it's replacing our jobs anytime soon. I think it's probably useful in a corporate environment for like what I described. You just need something quick and dirty. It's not intended to last for a long time, although as we know in almost any environment, stuff that's not intended to last.
10 seconds.
Huh? Are you cutting me off? I've exceeded my time.
Where's the big?
Or you need the green, yellow, red light.
Exactly.
In debates. I yield my time to the
gentleman with the bald head.
Right.
Grant?
Yeah, I don't think it's a waste of time. For nothing else, I think eventually things are going to get more tackled in this area. So I think it's worthy just as the experimental. We should be researching this. We should be going forward and trying to figure out how much we can do without technical expertise that's actually useful and works. And I'm all for doing that kind of stuff in small areas. I mean, we've always written little tools for ourselves to automate something, and sometimes it writes code, basically. So,
all right.
Even though I was very negative, I'm actually, it's optimistic.
Yeah, I would agree with you guys. I don't think, obviously, like I said, somebody's got to be managing the platform that actually provides the drag and drop and whatever else. So obviously there's going to be room for coders everywhere. Yay.
Yeah.
But I think a really good way to look at this, which does prevent the security issue, is look at it for prototyping. Figuring out if an idea works and looking at putting something together where you can figure out what kind of user experience you really want, and maybe even working out workflows. That might be a really, really good use for something like this.
Well, that's really how PubTech has been working out for us. This new rewrite is completely different, but it showed how to set it up. How should it work? Yeah.
PubTech is one of our incubator clients, and they have an IoT device that monitors the atmosphere, the environment around your dog, and is constantly reporting those bits of data back to the server, the cloud. What Grant's pointing to is that we recently moved off of one cloud provider's platform into an environment that gave us a lot more flexibility, and I would say the process of being on the original cloud provider taught us a lot about how to set up the environment when we had more flexibility, and I think that's what you're pointing to.
Yeah, the steps that needed to be accomplished, and now we're actually writing code rather than having configurable blocks that pass things to each other. But it was a good way to get more immersed into the different demands of IoT.
Yeah, cool. And Node-RED is what we would consider like a low-code kind of platform where you can kind of drag and drop visually these nodes together and say, okay, if you end up in this flow, go this way. If you end up in this flow, go this way. So it's sort of that workflow kind of concept.
Yep.
Cool. All right, this has been our very, very first attempt at this. We're very excited. I think it went well. Nobody made any jokes that are going to get us in trouble, I don't think. Although I'm sure these guys are going to lighten up. Yeah, no.
Oh, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I had all these jokes that are really racist in my bag.
So are we getting into a bar?
All right, you guys. Until next time, this is Raika Technologies, Grant, Darrell, and Cynthia. Thank you.